In this video, we will walk you through creating an attendance application that can scan QR codes to simulate employees' check-in and check-out of their daily duties. We will be using Microsoft Power Apps and SharePoint lists.
First, we shall set some variables for the app on start. Those variables will have their initial values set once the application runs. We will need to capture the current logged-in user and their email. Our first variable will be the show spinner. This variable will be used to display our loading spinner on or off. We are setting it to on for now while the program on start loads. Our second variable is the var user, and we will set it to hold the currently logged-in user. The third variable will be the var user email. This variable will hold the email of the currently logged-in user. Finally, we are going to set the show spinner variable to false in order to stop displaying the spinner. Now, we need to create the splashing screen, which is the first screen to be displayed once the application starts. We need the splash screen to run for 5 seconds and move to our main menu screen. To do that, we shall insert a timer control, and we'll set the duration property to 5000, which is equal to 5 seconds. And then set the on-time end property to navigate to our main menu screen. For branding, we add a couple of labels and an image for our logo, the name of the app, and finally a nice colorful background. We test run the app and the splash screen displays for 5 seconds and then navigates to the main menu screen. First, we need to set the on-visible properties for the main menu screen. We need to set a session variable that is randomized every time an employee checks in and capture the location of the employee at that time. To do so, we will need to generate 2 random variables and add them to a third one. This will reduce the possibility of getting 2 identical variables. So we set the first variable by calling the rand between function, which will randomly choose a number between 1 to 1000. We set var_inc_2 variable in the same manner. Then we set the var session variable to generate a random number and add it to both var_inc and var_inc_2. Finally, we will set the var location checked variable to fetch the chosen location from our drop-down menu location. For the main screen, we need several important controls. First will be our drop-down menu for choosing locations, and the values will be fetched from our supplier attendance lookup list that contains locations assigned to employees. Then we need our main 2 buttons. We will create a button by inputting the barcode reader control. We will change the text value of the button to check-in. We will also need this button to navigate to another page once the QR code is scanned, so we set the on-scan value of this button to navigate to the scan check-in screen. We will do the same for the checkout button, but will navigate to the scan checkout screen. Finally, we will add a couple of images and labels to give a better user experience. We will add one image in the corner to display the current user photo by setting the image attribute to the user image. And finally, on this page we will add a home page icon and set the onSelect attribute to navigate to the main menu screen. Next, we will create the check-in page. We will add a form named Scan Form Check-in. Inset a text field that will display the QR code scanned. And set the text field's default value to the check-in barcode scanner. We will need to insert a gallery to display the information of the employee for which we have scanned their QR code. We will set the items of the gallery to filter its information from the supplier's information SharePoint list by the identification that was scanned. We can do that in different methods, such as setting a variable at the scanning time and filtering the list with that variable, or displaying it in a text field and using the text field value. We add a hidden label that displays the date of today and hide it by setting its visibility to false. Then we will add a label to display the role of the employee. Then another label to display the company. And a third label to display the name of the employee. We will also add a photo of the employee and set the image to display the attachment for the filtered record. And finally, we will add an HTML text that will display the QR code of the employee for reference. Here we are using a free QR generating service by calling a web service and passing the employee code. We replaced it with the supplier name for demonstration purposes, but you can change it to anything you need. Next, we will add a label to display the location chosen at the time of scanning the QR code by inserting a label and setting the text value to the variable location checked. This page should display the gallery only if the QR code scanning was successful. So we will set the gallery to be visible if the text in the QR scan label is equal to true. Finally, we will set the home screen icon to reset several values. Set the onSelect value to reset the check-in form which holds the scanned QR code. Reset the check-in barcode scanner. And navigate back to the main menu screen. Now we have to insert a Submit button to patch the data to our data source. We will set our spinner to be true in order for the spinner to be on while executing the next code. We will first patch the employee attendance list with a new record. We will use the if statement to determine whether the employee is already checked in or not. Look up the supplier information list where the check-in QR code scanned matches the identification column and retrieve the current status. If it is equal to check-in, it means the employee is already checked in and we shall navigate to our failed check-in screen. If it is not, it means the employee has checked out and can check in. So we need to patch the information captured. Patch to the supplier attendance list the following variables. The QR code captured. The name of the employee. The supplier name. The role of the employee. The status will be checked in. Timing checked by calling the now function and format date as required. Location capture. Longitude by calling the location.longitude function. Latitude by calling the location.latitude function. Session ID, which is stored in the variable var session. Next, we will patch the supplier information list to update the employee record with the latest session information. Filter the list where the identification column is equal to the check-in QR code scanned value to locate the employee record we need to update. Then update the following variables. The current status will be check-in. Current session ID will be the variable var session. Current timing by calling the now function and formatting the date. Finally, we will notify the user whether the patching was successful or not. If there were no errors patching to the supplier attendance list, notify the user with a successful check-in. Else, if there are errors patching, notify the user with an error message. Finally, reset the scan check-in form. Reset the check-in barcode scanner. Set the spinner to false to turn it off to hide the spinner. Navigate back to the main menu screen. Next, we will create the Scan Checkout screen in the same manner as the Scan Check-in. For the Submit button, the code will differ a little. In the first if statement, if the current status fetched from the supplier's information is equal to checkout, then we will navigate the user to the failed checkout screen. When patching to the attendance list, the QR code will be the one captured by the Scan Checkout button. For the session ID checked, we will fetch the current session ID from the employee's records by a lookup of the supplier's information list where the QR code scanned is equal to the identification column. When patching the supplier information, we will update the supplier record with the current status equal to checkout. The rest is the same, just replacing every check-in with a checkout. In case the QR scanning fails to fetch a record, the scanning page will display the message "No record found" and disable the Submit button. The label visibility is set to true if the QR code scanner does not return a value. The Submit button display mode is set to disabled if the QR code scan does not return a value. Now let's look at the SharePoint lists. The first list is the supplier's information list, which contains all the information of the employees. The columns are as follows. Identification column, which will be used to generate the QR codes. Full name. Supplier name. Designation. Phone number. Email. Location. Current session to capture the last session ID. Current status to capture the last checked status. Current timing to capture the last checked timing. The second list is the supplier's attendance list, which contains all the information on the attendance. The columns are as follows. Identification column, which will be used to capture the scanned QR code. The full name will be looked up against the ID. Supplier name, which will be looked up against the ID. The designation, which will be looked up against the ID. Time, which will be captured by the system. The date, which will be captured by the system. Location, which will be a choice. Current session to capture the last session ID looked up from the information list. Longitude, which will be captured by the system. Latitude, which will be captured by the system. That is all. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave a comment. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to support us.